Let's understand modular arithmetic in mathematics. Now, you and I know that we have 7 days in the week, right? So by assumption, or for the understanding people, let's start on Monday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, up to Sunday, we have 7 days. So on this Sunday, we don't go beyond, we don't go anywhere, right? We don't depart from here. It's okay. So we start on Monday again, right? So we cannot go beyond this 7. If that is the case in mathematics, we call it what? A definition, something that you have to accept it as it is, right? So in modulo here, if that is the case, assuming we are living in a planet whereby on this planet we don't count beyond 7, right? So when you get to 7, then we start again. So mode 7 here means that we cannot go beyond 7. When we are counting, we don't go beyond 7 on that planet, right? So the planet in which we are living, we don't go beyond that. Okay, now look at this example here. So the example here says that 8 is equal to 1 mod 7. What it means here is that on our planet, we know that we count up to 7, right? So you came with 8. So if you came with 8 here, then we just need to count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 7. What is left is what we are important or what we are interested in, right? So here, if you came with 8, when we count up to our 7, that is where we are living, then we are left with 1. You see, the case here is that the answer here must be less than what? The mode, right? So the answer here has to be less than the mode that we are dealing with. Now look at another one here. Here, mode 5, meaning that these people count up to what? Up to 5. They don't go beyond 5. And then you came with 2, right? So 2 here is exactly what you must get. So this is the remainder. Is that okay? The case happens if whatever you came with is more than the modulo where we count up to, right? So now look at this scenario here. So under this example here, you want to find what the answer may be if you have a 25 in mode 4. So the understanding here is that you are dealing with 4 here, meaning that you cannot count beyond 4. Let's say you are in a community whereby you guys only take what? $4, right? So $4 here. So someone came with what? $5 here. We don't go beyond $4, neither we go less than what? $4. Anything that we can count is up to what? $4 here. That's the meaning of the mode here. So after taking our 4 or maybe the groups of 4 out of this $25, whatever remains is what? The answer here, or is exactly what the person will take home. So what I mean by that is that we are having $25. So let's take our first $4 here. So you consider here I'm having what? The first $4 out. Still, if I take $4 out of the 25, I will be left with $21, right? So I can still take another $4, right? So if you take the second $4, so meaning that we are taking $8 out of that, right? So the third one, then we are taking 4, the fourth one we are taking 16, and then still we can still take out of the remaining. So if I take up to this point, you can see that I can take the first 4, second, third, fourth, fifth, and the sixth one. So in all, if I take all the groups of $4 out of this thing, I'm going to have $25 at this point, right? So meaning that the person will be left with what? Just $1 to take home. So out of this $1 here, I cannot take any $4 again, because this $1 is less than $4. So whatever remains here is the answer. So the answer to this one is what? Just 1, right? There's a simple way of doing this. Make sure that you watch the video to the end, then I'll give you all the tricks that you need here. So the technical definitions of the mode is that if you have any number here, mode a certain figure here, whatever the figure may be. So if I divide this one by the amounts that you brought, the remainder is what we are interested in, right? So you can see the scenario here that after taking our $4 out of this thing, we are left with what? That person will be left with just $1. So with this $1, we can give it to the person to take home. Is that okay? So this is the remainder. So in modulo is the remainder that is what we are interested in, right? So after taking what? The group of what? The number here, which is the mode here. So after taking the group of 4 out of this one, then the remainder is exactly what we are interested in. Now let's look at another example here. So in this example, we are having here to be a negative, right? So this is what? A negative. They say negative 3 mod 5, right? They say you should solve this. You can see that this is a negative, but here in this community or in this society here, we count up to 5, right? So the mode here is 5. Meaning that we want to take 5 out of anything that you brought. But this guy came with a negative, meaning that this person is owing us. right? So if you are owing, so the way of solving this thing is that you need to add the mode to whatever the person brought here. So the way of solving this part is that if you have a negative number here, whatever the mode will be, you have to add the mode to what, to the negative, right? The idea is that we are counting up to 5 and then you came with negative. We are not interested in this negative. We need 5, right? Or something that is less than, so that you can take home. So if you came with what, a negative number, you add this one to what, the negative. So what I mean by that is that you are going to have a 3 plus what, 5, which is the mode here. That answer should be what, 2, right? So this answer gives me 2. Of course, 2 is something that is less than the mode. So the answer here is what, is 2, right? So 2 is what remains after we add this 5 to the negative number. So this is how simple you answer that negative one. So make sure that you watch the video. So I'll give you all the tricks that you need on the modular here. Now at this portion here, we can see that this is what they say we should evaluate what 6 minus 36 mode 6, right? So 6 minus 36 mode. So of course you have to perform this operation first. So 6 minus this one, that will give me a negative 30, right? So negative 30 mode 6. What do you think could be the answer? So upon what I said earlier on, you can see that here you must add this thing. This is a negative number, so you must add the mode to this guy, right? You must add the mode to this guy until you get your first positive number. So what I mean by that, so here from this example you can see that at the first step, once we added the mode to the negative number, so we are having 2. So the 2 here is positive, right? So you have a positive. So this is the first positive number that we are getting. So here you have to keep on adding, right? You add the first the 6 to the negative 30. So negative 30 plus 6, that should be negative 24, right? So if you're having negative, still negative, right? You have to add, right? So here you are going to add, that's what you are going to get negative 24 mode 6 here. So negative 24 mode 6 here, the answer should be negative this should be negative 18, right? So this should be negative 18 here. So you can see that here negative 18. Still we are still in the negative arena, right? So you are still in the negative arena. So if you have a negative number, you have to keep on adding until you have your first a positive number. Is that okay? Until you have your festival, make sure that you watch the video. So now I'll give you the trick. You cannot keep on adding. So I'll give you the tricks that you need in this video here. So if for the negative issue, if you keep on adding in this way, I think you should have your first positive number, that should be 6, right? So the first positive number, that should be 6. If you're having a different answer, make sure that you comment that below. Is that okay? So now look at the trick here. Here's a quick example here, or maybe a question that says that if 25 mod 7 is equal to x, they say you should find the value of the x here, right? So we are having 25 mod 7. So what it means here is that in these people here, they count up to up to 7, right? So up to 7 here, they say you should find the answer. So what this thing means that if you take the group of 7 out of the 25, what do you think will be the remainder? Right, just like in the case of the first example. Now the simple idea here, the trick here is that technically, so we can divide. So you have to divide this thing by that is the straightforward, the simple way of doing that. You divide the mode by whichever number you are having here, and then what is left after the first example that we saw earlier on. So what is left, so this thing is the remainder, right? So this thing is the remainder. So the answers in model, you can see that whatever you have here is always less than or smaller than this mode here, right? So the trick of doing this thing is that you divide this thing by 24. But how do you divide, right? So how do you divide? That is the question here. So in model, we don't want anybody to have something like a decimal. So what I mean by decimal, we don't want someone to have 1.5 3.4, and so we don't want this. We don't want this thing in module. So what we need here, we want everybody to have a whole number. So what I mean by that is that if you take 7 group of 7 out of the 25, you can take your first 7, second 7, and so on and so forth. So here you can see that if you divide 7 by 25, you should get 3. You and I agree that this thing should give us like 3 point something. Is that okay? So the 3 is that you are going to take first 7. So that is 1 2 3 4 5 6, and then and then 7. So this is the first 7. So if we take the 7 out of the 25, we are going to left with that should be that should be 18, right? So we are left with 18. So if you take the second 7 out of this one, so you are going to get 11, right? So you are going to get 11. So if you take the another 7 again, you are going to left what to be the remainder. So we are going to take a group of 7 7 7 7 3 times, right? So if you divide this thing by this and that, the answer should be 3 here, right? The answer should be 3. So if you take the group of 7, so we are taking 21 out of the 25, so we left with 4. Do you agree with this? So the whole idea is that you divide the mode by what? The number that in which you have been given. So if you divide that by that, we don't want decimal point, we don't want anything. So we can get a group of 7 3 times out of the 25, right? So if you divide that is the 3, and then the remainder, what is left is what we are interested in. So the remainder is the answer what in modulo. So here the value of the x here is 4, right? So the value of the x here is 4. So what the person is taking home is exactly what we are interested in after we take our 777 out of whichever the person brought, right? So this is a very simple way to understand what a modulo. Now look at a very tricky question here. So here in this question we can see that they say if y divided by m is equal to s, and then the remainder is 6, right? They say you have been asked to write this thing in modulo form, right? So you're having y divided by m is equal to s, the remainder is 6. What this thing means is that remember that in modulo we are interested in what remains that we are taking home. That is what we are interested in after we divide it. So this thing, you can rewrite this thing in the form as what y is equal to 6. So 6 here is the remainder. So that is what we are having from the question here, right? So y here is equal the remainder here is 6, and then y is exactly what the person brought to our premises. So after we take what our amount out, so the amount here is m, right? So y is equal to 6. So this is what the person is taking home after we take our m item out of whatever the person brought, right? So this is very simple. So this trick here requires understanding. So you must understand it. So the remainder is what the answer is. So that's the answer in what in modulo. So that is what the person is taking home after we take our mode. So in this is the mode here. So after we take our mode here, right? Okay, very simple. Now in what this is another one. So in what modulo is it true that 9 plus 8 is equal to 5? So this is a very simple question here. So in what modulo? So this question here requires understanding. Is that okay? Here we are interested in modulo. So here they say in what mode that 9 plus 8 that is equal to 5. So we are interested in the mode here, right? So this is what we are interested in. You must know something. So you should remember that this is what the person is taking home, right? After we subtract our mode here, and this is what the person brought. So first of all, you must add these two guys here. So this will give him 17, right? So here should be a 17. So when you got a 70, and then we know that the person takes so much 5, right? So they say you should go calculate the mode here. So how do you do that? Look at something. You can begin by saying that you let any variable or maybe anything should be the modulo, right? So this is what we are looking for. So let this guy here be what the modulo. So we know how to do that. So this is 9 plus 8 that is equal to 5 modulo a, right? So this thing can be any variable of your own choice. Is that okay? Now let's move on. So if you add this thing to that should be what 17, right? So 17 what equal to 5 mod a. So how do you do this? Look at the trick here. Look at the trick here. So here's a simple example here. If I give you, let's say $3 here, right? If I give you $3 here to share that among 2 people, is that okay? We are going to share the $3 here among 2 people. You can see that each person takes just $1. But under normal circumstances, one person should take 1.5. Is that okay? So in modulo, we don't want 0.5. We don't want a decimal. We want everybody to be a full. So what I mean by the full here is that everybody should take what a whole number. So after these two guys take what just $1 out of the $3, they will be left with just $1. Is that okay? With this $1, nobody can take this $1 here because there are 2 people, right? So the remainder is $1. Now the trick here, you can see that if you add these two, whatever they have here, to the remainder, that should give me the amount that the person brought to our community, right? So these people are holding what $2. Do you agree? So these 2 guys here are taking what just $2, right? So because they took what just $1 out of that, so these people are having $2. So if you take whatever they are having added to the remainder here, that should be what $3. right? So the remainder, the mode here plus what the remainder should give me whatever the person brought. Do you agree? So these two guys here, so they're having $2. So $2 here plus the remainder, so 1 plus 2, these two here, giving whatever the person brought. So we are going to use this idea here to solve the method here, right? So if you have a 17 is equal to 5 mode A, right? So the mode A there is whatever they are having. So this is what they remember the person is taking home. So straightforward, we can say that this 17 here is equal to what? 5 plus A. So this A here is the mode, right? So the mode, whatever they are having. So this is what the person is taking home from the scenario. So here, from this method here, we can easily what? Find the value of A. So you just need to group the item, right? So you are going to subtract 5 from each side of the equation. So here you should have your A to be 12. So the mode here is what? Is mode 12. Right? So that is very another simple method here. So the final question here is, so the final trick here under this video is find what? The least value of what? X, right? So find the least value of X, for which this 2x plus 1 is equal to 4 mode 7. Right? So if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and then comment down below if you have any issue. Now they say you find the least, so meaning that we are going to find the smallest, right? So how do you do that? We are having 2x plus 1 is equal to 4, then mode 7. So what this thing means is that this is the number that the person brought, this is the amount that the person brought to our community. So after we take the groups of 7 out of that, the person takes so much 4. Do you agree? So maybe you take home what? 4. So you came with this amount here. We take the group of 7 out of your amount, and then you take home 4. We don't know this X, so this is our major issue here. So you need to find this figure here and then know exactly the amount that you brought to our community. So how do you do that? So with the same scenario from this example, right? With the same scenario from this example, you can see that whatever the person brought here, if you add the remember what you are taking home, and then the group of 7, because they say you should find the least, meaning that we have different answers of the S. So we are finding the smallest. So the smallest here will be what? This guy will be equal to the remainder here plus the mode, right? So this guy will be equal to the remainder here plus the mode here. So you have 2s plus 1 is equal to 4 plus 7. So this 4 plus the 7 here. So you have to group the item and then add everything perfectly. You should arrive at what? 2s is equal to 10, right? 2s is equal to 10. So you are going to divide both sides by 2. So if you divide both sides by 2, you are going to have your s to be 5. Right? So these are some of the simple tricks under modular arithmetic.